Welcome back to the channel, HaiperCreaters. I'm Haiper, and in today's video, we're diving deep into the world of dragons, exploring everything from their origins, their significance in different cultures, to the scientific possibilities of whether they could have ever existed. Dragons have fascinated humans for thousands of years, and today, we'll uncover the mysteries behind these legendary creatures. Let's get started. Before we begin, I want to make it clear that I'm not disrespecting any culture or tradition. Dragons are important symbols in many cultures, and I respect their meaning. What I'll discuss here is not about changing these beliefs. I will focus on the scientific aspects of dragons and whether it's possible that such creatures ever existed, based on the knowledge we have today. This is just a theory and not yet proven, so please keep that in mind. Dragons are among the most iconic and fascinating creatures in human history, appearing in myths, legends, and stories from cultures all over the world. But what exactly are dragons? Are they real, or are they just creatures of imagination? In this video, we're going to dive deep into the world of dragons, exploring their origins, their symbolism in different cultures, and even whether they could have ever existed. Let's break down everything there is to know about these incredible creatures. To understand dragons, we need to explore their origins. The idea of dragons has been around for thousands of years, and the myths vary from culture to culture. However, there are several key factors that likely contributed to the creation of dragon myths: real creatures and fossils. The first possibility is that the ancient people who told these stories were inspired by real creatures, especially large reptiles. Fossils of huge creatures like dinosaurs and giant reptiles could have been discovered by ancient people who didn't understand fossils as we do today. These bones could have been mistaken for the remains of dragons, big reptiles and serpents. Another possibility is that ancient people saw giant snakes or large crocodiles in their environments and turned them into stories of dragons. In fact, serpents are often considered a dragon-like creature, and in many cultures, snakes are symbolic of power, danger, and wisdom. Large snakes, such as the anaconda or the python, could have inspired some of the snake-like dragons in various myths, such as the Chinese dragon. Flying reptiles like pterosaurs, which lived millions of years ago, could have also inspired the idea of flying dragons. These creatures had wings and lizard-like bodies, similar to the way dragons are depicted in many stories. One of the most fascinating things about dragons is how they appear in so many different cultures. Despite the differences in appearance, many of the stories about dragons share common themes, especially about their power and mysterious nature. Let's look at how dragons are portrayed in different parts of the world. European dragons. In Western mythology, dragons are typically shown as large, fearsome creatures with scaly skin, bat-like wings, and sharp claws. These dragons are usually portrayed as dangerous beasts that breathe fire, live in caves, and guard treasure. The fire-breathing aspect is one of the most iconic features, and it symbolizes destruction and chaos. These dragons are often seen as evil or malevolent, threatening villages and heroes. Chinese dragons. In contrast, Chinese dragons are completely different in both appearance and symbolism. These dragons are serpentine, with long, slender bodies and no wings. They are often depicted as benevolent, representing good fortune, power, and wisdom. Chinese dragons are frequently associated with water and are believed to control the rain and rivers. They are often seen as protectors and are deeply embedded in Chinese culture and folklore. Other cultures. In the Middle East, dragons were often depicted as serpentine creatures that lived in the sea or controlled storms. In African cultures, dragons also appear as giant serpents, representing the mysterious and dangerous forces of nature. In Mesoamerica, the feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl was an important deity, showing how dragons were often linked to the divine and to important forces in nature. One of the most famous characteristics of dragons is their ability to breathe fire. This has fascinated people for centuries, but can it really happen? Let's break it down. Fire-breathing chemistry. While no animal today can breathe fire like a dragon, some creatures use chemical reactions that can produce heat and flame. For example, the bombardier beetle has a defense mechanism where it shoots a hot, explosive chemical spray. The chemicals mix in its body to create a reaction that reaches temperatures of 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 232 degrees Celsius. This could have inspired the idea of fire-breathing dragons, flammable gases. Another theory suggests that dragons might have produced flammable gases like methane in their bodies, which could be ignited by heat-producing glands. These special glands might have released a small, controlled burst of flame when combined with the right chemicals. While this is just a theory, it's based on how some animals today create chemical reactions inside their bodies. Real versus fantasy. While these scientific ideas might make fire-breathing dragons seem more possible, there's still no concrete proof that any creature ever breathed fire the way dragons are depicted in myths. It's important to remember that this is speculative and part of the magic and mystery of the dragon legend. Another exciting feature of dragons is their ability to fly. But could a dragon really take flight with the body shape and size that we often see in stories? Let's explore the science. The problem of size. One of the biggest challenges to the idea of flying dragons is that they are often depicted as huge, with large bodies and massive wings. In real life, flight requires a combination of a light body and strong wings. Birds, bats, and insects can fly because their bones are hollow, making them lightweight. But a giant dragon would likely have too much mass for its wings to lift it into the air. Pterosaurs, however, there were flying reptiles like pterosaurs that lived millions of years ago. These creatures were much larger than modern birds and could fly despite their weight. Pterosaurs had large wingspans and bodies that were designed to help them fly. If dragons existed, they might have had similar specialized wings and strong enough muscles to make flight possible. But this is still a theory. Feasibility of dragon flight. Realistically, flight would depend on the dragon's size, wing structure, and musculature. A dragon would need enormous wings and incredibly strong muscles to fly, even if it were much larger than most animals. The idea is fascinating, but scientifically, dragons are not designed in a way that makes flight physically possible, unless they were much lighter than they are usually depicted. Now that we've explored their appearance, abilities, and origins, the final question is, could dragons have ever been real? Could dragons have been real animals? The idea of dragons might have been inspired by real animals that existed in prehistoric times. The bones of dinosaurs, giant reptiles, or even large sea creatures could have been misinterpreted as the remains of dragons. This could explain why so many cultures have similar stories of large, dangerous creatures. The role of myth and symbolism. Dragons also play a symbolic role in human culture. They represent power, danger, and mystery, and are often used to symbolize forces that people fear or admire. They are deeply connected to themes of good versus evil, wisdom and destruction. In this way, dragons might be more than just creatures. They might be symbolic representations of natural and spiritual forces. So, that was our deep dive into the world of dragons. While we may never know for sure if these incredible creatures ever roamed the earth, the legends, myths, and science behind them will continue to captivate us. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about fascinating topics like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future content. This is Haiper from HaiperCreaters, signing off. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.